What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So how many times have I, you, others in the world gotten the call, refused the call, accepted it, meant to mentor, and it's, I'm not going to do that. And then went back and had the same thing again. You only get so many of those chances. But when you cross over that threshold into that special world, go all in on yourself and just say, I'm doing it.
You see that as well. We've got, a guy who's doing his first men's physique competition. And,
right.
While he has always been a titan in business, in the realms of health and diet, he was a titan of excuses and, had not made that change. And when he did, boom, like a paragon of discipline, and his results show for it. So whatever the field is, again, we've got, work, finance, family, health, whatever it is for you, you've got to let go of the ordinary world. You've got to let go of the old. You've got to let go of settling for average in your life to really cross the threshold into your potential, into that hero's journey.
And to use some of the modern language, it's going all in. Right? I know sometimes some of the hero's journey, it's old, right? I mean, written in the 40s, 80 years ago, Russell. Crazy to think that. But it's going all in, and it's going all in on yourself. And this is again, it's a pivotal place because this is where, just to keep rolling on our quotes here. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So how many times have I, you, others in the world gotten the call, refused the call, accepted it, meant to mentor, and it's, I'm not going to do that. And then went back and had the same thing again. You only get so many of those chances. But when you cross over that threshold into that special world, go all in on yourself and just say, I'm doing it. That's a significant moment. And it's an important thing to really embody, because that's a critical place that not a lot of people do. Everyone talks about transformation. Everyone talks about wanting things to be different, and maybe we'll get right up to that edge, but then don't do it. And I saw it, and I'm not going to give you all the stories, but in practice so many times, right? But then the ones that actually cross over and say, I'm going for it, lives are never the same,
right? In
a positive way, ultimately. Yeah.
So once you cross that threshold into, out of the ordinary world, then it's all smooth sailing and peaches and cream, right?
I wish it was.
No, you don't.
No, I don't.
No, you don't. Tests, allies, and enemies. That's along the hero's journey. You're going to be tested.
Yeah.
How many have longed for, here's just one example. How many have longed for a beautiful, intimate, fulfilling relationship, and you find this woman, and it's like, oh my God, like this is so great. And then all of a sudden, all these other girls start coming out of the woodworks, or your ex or whatever. And it's like, do you really mean it?
Right.
Really?
Right.
Really? It's like, shit. Yeah, you're going to be tested.
You're forged in the fire. And this is also just to bring in the other framework, which we've talked about here and there in this podcast, the different archetypes. This is really where the warrior comes online. Mm-hmm. Because you're forged in the fire, you're tested, you're put to the test, you're seeing what you can handle, and this is where you learn new skill sets. This is where you are actually training, right? This is where the Rocky montage comes in, right? And he's chasing chickens and running up to the steps of the Liberty, whatever it is, and it's where you're made, right? This is where you put in the fucking work, right?
Here's another movie quote for you: "Karate do yes. Karate do no. Karate do guess so. Squish, just like grape."
Love that one.
Karate Kid, man. It's like, look, you're either in or you're out. If you're half in, I kind of wanna maybe squish. You're gonna get smashed, right? Imagine going through. You want to be a Navy SEAL. So what's the first step? You got to go through basic training. And when roll call is like, I don't feel like it. Really? I'm pretty sure that your DI doesn't give a shit if you feel like it or not. You're in. Like play all out. Like go for it.
And we said test allies and enemies, and let's just talk about allies for a minute, because even though we're being tested and challenged and all those things come up, there are people and things along the way that are there to help us. Those are signs as well that we're on the right path, where I like to call it grace, where things show up exactly at the right time, the angel investor or the support, or things just realign to help you along the path. So it's not all challenge per se. There are allies, and we like to say, turn your adversaries into allies, right? Might also be a place to talk about the threshold guardian here.
Yeah.
If you want to bring that piece in.
Was definitely, in where you're saying there are allies, there are also enemies. So one of the key, qualities or attributes of the hero, and in Ignite we talk about of the king, is discernment. Discernment.
Do tell.
Because you'll have the seductress, whether that's in the form of a woman or the guy who's promising all this and a bag of chips with you for your business or your investment. Oh yeah, I can get all this, but there's something inside of you going,
right.
Pay attention to that feeling, right? Because there's enemies, and enemies are not always in your face, like clear and obvious, like I'm going to destroy you. Sometimes enemies are the ones with their arms around your shoulder. Well, one arm around your shoulder because the other one has a knife at your back.
Right.
Or hand so in your pocket. You have to be discerning, right, to be able to tell the difference, right? And it's not that you don't trust anybody, and it's not that you trust everybody. There's discernment, right?
Right.
And one of those characters that falls into that camp is the threshold guardian. If you look at the Sphinx in ancient Egypt, that was a threshold guardian. There's in many of these stories, there's a threshold guardian, and the threshold guardian is the guardian that blocks the way to the next level.
Right.
And usually there's some kind of a riddle that you have to solve or something. You can't face the threshold guardian head on,
right,
in combat, or you'll have your ass handed to you, right? It doesn't work that way. You have to be clever. You have to use discernment. You have to think of different ways. You have to use your heart and mind as well as your muscle. So the cool thing about the threshold guardian is recognizing their role. If you are encountering a threshold guardian, and maybe it's somebody at a higher level in your company that's trying to block you from that promotion, instead of getting all bent out of shape about them, go, oh, wow, that's that guy's a threshold guardian. Holy shit, that means I must be at the next level. I'm almost there. Awesome. Great. Now you can be excited about how you're going to navigate this relationship instead of resentful.
Right.